name is Georgia, and welcome back to my knitting podcast. I'm going to talk about, sort of the standard knitting podcast things today. Works in progress, finished objects, and a couple, just one acquisition actually. But first, I guess I'll mention what I'm wearing today. This is the Rumble Raglan by Lydia Morrow. I feel like it's really popular on Ravelry right now. I was just seeing the designer posted that I think it was like number 2 on hottest on Ravelry like this past week maybe. But I knit this back in the fall. I knit it with, I'm a big fan of High Fiber Knits here on YouTube. She also makes knitting podcasts and just, is always really thoughtful and has really interesting insight in her knitting intentions and goals and stuff she's working on and things she's thinking about in the context of her knitting. And she did a yarn colorway collaboration with an indie dyer out in, I want to say Texas. Okay, let me not claim to know, but it's Curio fibers, and this was the Autumn Botanical colorway collaboration with, again, High Fiber Knits. And I saw this and I remember being just absolutely obsessed with the colorways. I ended up getting like the mini skein set, and then I also got a full skein of it's called Bearded Iris, which is this darker purple color, as well as just the undyed yarn in order to make sure I had enough for a full garment. And it really ended up pretty perfectly, using up all the mini skeins, which were like, 20 grams. And then I had like enough to maybe make like a couple scrunchies or something with the scrap yarn left over from the minis. I definitely have like a fair amount of the leftover of the full skeins of the undyed and the Bearded Iris, but I'm totally happy with that. I'm planning, I either will make, some sort of sock or whatever. Also, this is, I don't know whether you can totally see on camera, but this is one of my cats, Sirius, who I feel like anytime I'm talking about knitting or doing knitting, he feels the need to come and make his presence known as the most important fluffy thing in my life. Not my yarn, but definitely him. But yeah, he'll probably just be popping in and out of frame. But yeah, so I guess with this pattern, I really loved working on it. I think it was either my first or my second ever colorwork project. I also made like at a similar time the Songbird mittens for my sister, which was again another really popular mitten pattern. And I can't quite remember which one I did first, but this was really definitely, I feel like, quite an easy colorwork pattern. You don't really have to worry about like counts. It's obviously very geometric. It's very obvious. You just see where you are in the pattern and are able to, go from there. And the designer definitely, like I mentioned, you can go rogue on the colorways, do whatever combinations. I think the design was only for maybe 2 or 3 different like colors. And I ended up fitting, I want to say 5 or 6 colors in here by just, doing some extra stripes. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I absolutely love it. I feel like the design is written so well. The construction is so thoughtful. There's like a lot of different options if you want to make various sort of like sizing tweaks or adjustments or have different fits. And I really appreciated that. And yeah, only positive things to say about the pattern, only positive things to say about the yarn. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces. It's again, I don't know if I said it's like a super wash wool. And so I feel like it's definitely keeps me cozy. I guess I haven't worn it in the summer yet, so we'll see how that goes. But I work in an office that's very cold, I feel like most of the time. And so it's nice to have like a base layer that keeps me warm. And I feel like I've worn it, I live in California, I've worn it, it doesn't get that cold in the summer. And I've worn it on hot days and I've had no issue with it. And so yeah, I'm just really in love with it. Definitely want to make some more knit t-shirts because I get a lot of wear out of this one and I really, really love it. Okay, so I guess I'll get into some finished objects. So my 2 finished objects were both works in progress in my last video, so yay, continuing on the things I set out to do. But so the first one I guess I'll talk about is the Vivian Cardigan. And this again, as soon as I started working on it, I was really breezing through it, and that carried all the way up through the end. So here it is. It's a little bit hard to hold up as always. I guess the one thing I'll say, let me unzip it a little bit. I don't think I sewed the zipper in the best, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think I'm kind of hoping I'll build up the motivation to fix the zipper in the next week or 2. Because just right here at the bottom, there's like a little bit of a lump. And I guess the thing I'll say on the zipper is I do sew. I have a sewing machine. I hand sew also. I grew up doing ballet. And so, how to hand sew ribbons in all the time into point shoes. And I feel like I don't know, yeah, I used to do a lot more sewing, a lot of hand sewing, a lot of embroidery. And so I was feeling quite confident about doing the zipper sewing, and I think I didn't really think about the fact that obviously like yarn and like knit yarn is very stretchy. And so and you're sewing, basically there's like a back facing, which is a really beautiful detail, and then, you know, the front and the zipper, and getting like all three of the lengths to really like line up and be like the stretched out length it's gonna be once, you know, the fabric is like hanging down and, you know, the garment's getting stretched out to whatever size it's gonna get stretched out to just by gravity. I think that ended up being a little bit tricky. And yeah, I mean, I think it looks okay. I think there's just like at the bottom, there's a little bit of a bulge in the zipper, and it definitely bothers me. And I feel like I love the piece so much otherwise, and I think it looks so polished otherwise that I would really just like love to fix it and have it be the perfect fit. But again, this pattern I think is beautiful. I feel like I got so many compliments wearing it the past couple weeks, and I've worn it a fair amount. There's like the inner facing details, there's obviously the zipper detail, and I think it just ends up making it for a garment that looks really polished, looks really store-bought. And then I think also because, you know, I made it in the recommended fiber of the Peruvian Highland Filcolana yarn, as well as the Alva yarn, so it's like an alpaca plus wool. It's really, really cozy. I went to my friend's white coat ceremony this past weekend out in Boston. And as someone from California, Boston's quite cold in my opinion, this time of year. And so it was really nice to have something that was like wool and alpaca and was really insulating and kept me warm. And I feel like that's kind of hard to find in a store-bought garment for a zip up. I think, you know, I've seen like lots of you can get commercial wool or cashmere or something warm insulating sweaters, but I think for zip ups, that's definitely a lot rarer. And so it was just nice to have something that I made and that was really warm and kept me really comfortable and cozy. And again, yeah, just absolutely love it. Can only say good things. And I'm excited to get a lot more wear out of it. Okay, so the next finished object is again another thing that was a work in progress in my last video, and that's a Cumulus blouse by PetiteKnit, which again I made in this, it's like the onion silk mohair yarn, which I'm forgetting the exact name for, and I made it, it's the colorway like Gylden. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But again, I talked a little bit about this yarn last time. It was yarn that I had frogged because I had initially made the Blouse #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, but I had like been using the non-mohair edition pattern, and it just ended up being way too oversized. I did something wrong, or the pattern just didn't convert well over to using mohair. I should have gotten the mohair edition, and the final piece was just way too oversized for me, way too slouchy. And so I finally, after like a year, frogged the project and then re-knit this. And I absolutely love it. I feel like I think when we last spoke, I was definitely getting a little bit annoyed about, I felt like because the mohair had been frogged, there was like these tufts of the more matted sections. But I think once I finished it and like got the I-core detailing edging on, it really pulled the whole piece together. And now when I look at it, I don't think about that, or I don't really notice. And I guess it sort of just feels like a testament to, if you have something that you're not wearing, or you feel like, okay, you just don't love the finished product of, I think it's really worth it to rip it back and do something new. Because I feel like this I've already worn a couple times to work, which is like more than I ever wore the other project. And so yeah, I'm just super happy with it. I feel like for some reason I like would see the Cumulus blouse and I always was like, oh, that's a really cute pattern, but I just don't know if it's for me. And I think doing this project, I really was like, oh, I love it. I love the fit of it. It's just like so well constructed. I feel like it just fits really, really beautifully. And I'm really glad I made it. I guess I also can say like, I was maybe playing a teeny bit of yarn chicken just because in the frogging process, I had like lost some of the yarn to just matting and knots and tangled messes that I couldn't get out. And so I definitely made it a little bit cropped, but again, on me, I feel like I wear a lot of my things cropped. I'm also not a tall person. And so it hits more at the pants line. It's not like egregiously cropped or anything. But yeah, I really, really like this one. I'm really happy I made it. And I'm excited to get more wear out of it. So the next thing I'll talk about is the Wild Rose Vest by Marianne Stevens. And so this, I just bought the yarn for, I think in the last video, and I ended up going with her yarn pack for it, just because this project has something like, it's like over 10 colors. And I just was feeling like if I tried to do the color selection myself, it was really going to be hard to follow along with the chart and would just get confusing. And then also this project is going to end up being steeked, after I have to continue doing like the top part of the body, where the v-neck is gonna come in, and then it's gonna be cut into for I think the armholes and the v-neck. And so this is done in like, her yarn pack was Jamieson Shetland Spindrift. So that's what I'm using here. And I think that's like, it's a super rustic yarn. Very, very sort of sticky. Like when I have my project bag of all my different balls of yarn that are going into this, and it's like, they definitely stick to each other, which I think should be good for steeking. I haven't actually ever steeked before. This is just me going off of things I feel like people say, and the insight I've gleaned from the internet. But I'm just hopeful that going with, you know, the exact yarn she used means I'm gonna have less issues. And I'm just, yeah, I'm loving it. I love the color palette she did it in. I think it's been really a joy to like knit up. So I definitely have been loving working on this. I guess I'll say, I think it's been like 3 weeks since I last filmed. And I think in the first 2 weeks, I, you know, rapidly got through the things that I have been working on, the Vivian Cardigan, my Cumulus blouse. And then I was like really eager to jump into my next work in progresses. So what I'm currently working on, and then this past week, I think I definitely, there's just been life stuff, and so there's been less knitting. This has definitely like fallen off a little bit just because I have to be following the chart. And I had just like a couple times where like my mind wasn't really locked in, and then I would make a mistake, and then it always takes, you know, way longer to frog a mistake than it does to actually make it, and that's always a little bit frustrating. But again, overall, I think like the pattern's really, really easy to follow. The charts are really easy to follow. And it's been like a really fun project, and it's so beautiful. I feel like every time I do a row, I just get so enamored by looking at it and seeing how the pattern is coming together. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I'm excited. I feel like today was daylight savings. And out here in California, at least, I feel like you can really tell that spring is coming. The weather is getting better. The days are getting longer, and so I'm just excited to have this project, which I feel like is such a springy project to me, being a vest and being so colorful and being all the flowers, that I'm excited to have it off my needles soon, hopefully, and be able to wear it into work. And so yeah, I'm just excited. I think I'm also excited, as I said, this will be my first time steeking, and so I'm like a little bit anxious, a little bit trepidatious to do it, but I think it will be a really good learning experience, and hopefully like give me that confidence to do other steek projects. So then my second working project is a gift for my mom. So this will be a birthday gift for her. And this is again another Cumulus blouse, but this time I'm doing the v-neck for her instead of for myself. I did the o-neck and the mohair. She really prefers v-necks. That's like the also original non-modified version of the pattern. And so I'm excited to be working on it. It's fun to have like a slightly different twist in the construction since I just did the o-neck for myself. And again, it's in this really, really special yarn that I got just at my local yarn store here in Santa Monica, which is Wild Fiber yarn. I may be butchering the name a little bit, but I can show you. This yarn is, let me see. I'm gonna not be able to pronounce the name, so I'm not gonna even try, but it's a Casita yarn. I can put it down in the description below. I'm really bad at other languages, so I just don't even want to butcher it. But it's 56% alpaca, 24% wool, and 20% nylon. And when I saw this, they had a sample project that I think honestly might have been the Cumulus blouse, like v-neck worked up. And I just was so enamored by how special it was. It's very like, I don't know, it's obviously a fluffy yarn. There's a little bit of irregularity in like the thickness. And you obviously have these speckles, these beautiful kind of like sunset-y colors. And so I saw this and I just loved it, and it's really my mom's colors. I finally put it together like last week while I was working on it. I was like, wait, I think I so strongly like associate this yarn with my mom because she has a sweater that's like almost like low-key the identical colors. It's like a white fluffy sweater with orange and yellow. So I'm hoping I'm not making like an exact copy paste of a sweater that she already has, but that one, it was like, I want to say it's like an entirely like pearl, it's like reverse stockinette. So the outside's like entirely pearl, it's like a crew neck. I think it will be different enough. Also, this will be handmade. It's in alpaca, and I think the other one's like a wool or something. It's store-bought. And so I'm just hoping she'll like it. And her birthday is not until the end of this month, so I think I've given myself ample time. I'm like through the yoke, which I think is about where I was in my prior Cumulus blouse like 3 weeks ago. So I feel like I just sort of have to put the time in, finish the body up. I feel like this is always like the part in projects where I get into a little bit of a slump when I'm like, I've done the yoke, I've connected for the sleeves, and I'm just working in the round. I mean, I think it's like really nice to have a project that's in this state, because then I can just like, you know, unlike my colorwork vest, I can just pick this up do however many stitches. I don't have to be keeping track of the rows. I don't have to be following a chart. But like, because I feel like you can just, you know, endlessly work on it, it's a little bit harder to see the progress. And I feel like I don't know, just mentally I'm always like, oh, did I even do anything? Because I can't, you know, I can't see the progress as well. But again, I think I'll get through it. It will be good. And yeah, again, I'm just really loving working with this yarn. It's definitely like a colorway that like, I love these colors, but I wouldn't necessarily wear it myself. And I think that can be one of the fun things about gift knitting though, is that you can do something that even if it's not like exactly to your style, you're able to make something. And just like enjoy working with that yarn, even if you wouldn't want to necessarily like, I don't know, I just don't know if I could totally see this in my own wardrobe, but that's okay, because it's not going in my own wardrobe. And I absolutely, absolutely love working with it. It just makes me happy to see all the speckles and see the sort of sunsetty colors work up. Okay, and then I guess the final thing I'll talk about is an acquisition. And so this is, as I said, I went to Boston this past weekend to attend my friend's white coat ceremony for dental school. And that was absolutely lovely. I was really grateful I was able to attend and be there and help celebrate her. And I feel like for me, anytime I travel, part of the fun is getting to go to a little local yarn store, see what yarn is available, and I don't know, just like explore the city in that way. And so I picked this up at a local yarn store out in Boston that I'm forgetting the name of, but I'll try to put on the screen. And it was in the cutest area. There was this like right next door, there was this whole building of like artist galleries / studios. So it was like 90 artists all in this one building. There was like a vintage flea market type situation like at the bottom floor of the gallery that we checked out that was super cute. And then we were like wandering around all the different artist studios, and I just felt super inspired. And so yeah, lovely area, 10 out of 10 recommend. But this is a brand of yarn I've never seen before. So I don't know if it's local to Boston or if I just like haven't seen it, but it's the Wild Violet Fibers. And this is a 70% baby alpaca, 20% mulberry silk, and 10% cashmere fingering weight yarn. They just had 2 skeins, so I just got the 2. So that puts me at like, you know, I don't know what, just under 900 yards, maybe like 800 meters. And so I think that's enough if I like really wanted to make like a really basic raglan. I'm normally on the smaller end of the sizes, so I probably could squeeze a sweater out of it. Or if I wanted to do like a more intricate like cabled vest, or something like that, that would be enough. So I think I'll probably end up doing that just because I have the 2 skeins. I don't think I would make socks out of it, but I could, I guess, enough to make 2 pairs of socks, maybe even in a pinch 3. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. I think I talked about in my last video, I feel like normally when I go into yarn stores, I feel like I always gravitate towards like, what's the most bright, most colorful, most playful yarn, and I'm always like, oh, I want that. But I think that's meant that I don't necessarily have like more neutral, everyday wearable garments in my knit wardrobe, and so I've been trying to like intentionally get more neutral but still fun yarns. And so for me at least, this like, it's like, I don't know, a muted, like brown toned lavender mauve color, which for me at least is I guess the color name is Rye Bread. But for me at least, this is a neutral. I know for some people this wouldn't be a neutral, but for me this is, you know, it's about as neutral as I go. And so I feel like it's just fun to have a yarn where I'm like, I'm still super excited for it. It's maybe not the most bright springy, but to me I feel like I've been really into like more kind of muted, I don't know, muted but still like floral tone colors recently, and so it makes me think of spring in that way. I guess it ties in very well with what I'm wearing, so you can see it's definitely within my color palette. But yeah, I'm just super excited to work with it. I don't have a project necessarily that I'm thinking of for it yet. So if people have ideas, you know, it's a really luxurious fiber content. So I think it could make just like a really beautiful, simple sweater. Or again, if people have suggestions down below, I'm, you know, always open for inspiration. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think it should be good. I think I maybe mentioned this before, but I'm someone where I feel like I often get most inspired by the yarn before the pattern. And so I just like having, you know, a special yarn that has like a good memory of this trip that I then know I can like, you know, sit and think over and think about what I want to make with it. But anyways, okay, I think that's it for this week. But thank you so much for watching. If you're still sticking around, I appreciate it. And again, I'll see you guys next time.